guess who was appointed building committee chairman? I was. And Walter Kiefer was on that committee. Kurt Privet was on that committee. Both of them are deceased now. Joe McDonald, also deceased, was on that committee. And a young lady named Colleen, whose last name escapes me. But again, we can find that on the charter membership, I'm sure. At any rate, the five of us sat down and tried to figure out what to do next. And the next thing to do was to get an architect lined up. So we got a list of architects from people who knew of them and so forth, and told us that these would be good people to see. And we interviewed 5 different architects. And of those, we selected the only one that had never built a church. And that was Fred Bassetti and Company. And Fred Bassetti had a lead architect named Don Frothingham. And when we talked to Fred and Don, when we interviewed them, we just knew that they were the ones that we wanted. They had the vision, and they were pliable in what we wanted in terms of church and so forth. So we launched into the design effort of the church. And we met, the building committee met in each other's homes, and the committee meetings were open to the entire congregation. Anybody could come to them. So Jane must have made 1 million cookies and 1,000 gallons of coffee, as did the other members of the committee as well, because we met in their homes as well. And that's how the whole thing started. The architect was instrumental in selecting the contractors to build a building. But it was interesting because when we started talking about the building, of course, Don Frothingham made some sketches and so forth. And it included a sanctuary just like the one we have, rather circular in the way it was put together. But we had a school wing that was designed in where the playground is outside next to the church. So we had Don draw up the plans and so forth and put them out for bid with the contractors. And when the bids came in, the school wing was out. We couldn't raise that much money. At that time, you didn't build a church just to be a church. You built a building that was open to the community so that they could hold meetings there, dances, whatever, listen to music, all that sort of thing. And pews would not work. So that's why there are no pews in this church. We can set it up any way we want to, and that was by design. When we saw the building and had to, the drawing of the building, and had to eliminate the church school, I said, now what do we do? Where are we going to hold the classes for Sunday school for the kids and stuff? Because we had a lot of kids. And Don Frothingham says, well, they'll use those upper rooms up there And down here we have, you know, the furnace room and all that sort of thing down in the basement. And he said, this will be where the kitchen and library and offices and so forth are. And the kids will be upstairs. And we said, well, that could be a little hectic when we're having a worship service and the kids are up there. We know they're going to make a lot of noise. And he said, no, we're not, because we're going to teach the kids to be aware of where they are, and we're going to depend on them to keep quiet as possible. And it worked. It worked. Tackling the finances was a tough cookie. We made a study that showed we should have the building, and the conference already acquired the 4.2 acres, and we were grown to 100 people, so we thought it was time to take a big risk. We received $20,000 in grant loan. It was a grant loan from the National Board for Homeland Ministries, which was in Cleveland. And we got $15,000 more from the conference. That was $35,000. We got 2-year pledges for $32,000 from our congregation, and that made enough money so that we qualified for a $189,000 loan at 4% interest from the national denomination. And the total of $256,000 that we had then allowed us to go ahead with the building. Our first budget was $16,000. The total compensation for the minister was $10,000. We tithed from the very first year of our congregation. We tithed based on our operating budget to the conference, okay? And we did that. I think we still do that. We still tithe. Well, as we went along, of course, we paid off all of those things. We paid off the mortgage for the church after 25 years. We paid back all the money we got from the national denomination. We paid back all the money we got from the conference. And we just grew from there.